Hey, Gun Talk Nation listeners. Today we have Jeff Hoffman from Black Hills Ammo, and we actually get to do a conversation about their MK262 Mod1-C mil-spec. It's a mouthful, and at some point Jeff calls it the 261, but just wanted to clarify the MK262 Mod1-C. All right, here we go with Gun Talk Nation. Welcome into Gun Talk Nation.
It's another day.
Here we go. We should have some cool like ballistic talk for your everyday gun shooter. Today's Gun Talk Nation brought to you by Crimson Trace Lasers pew, pew, and Springfield Armory, as well as ATN. So we've been using ATN. So they make thermal, they make night vision stuff. We have been using it. Our secret squirrel thing is to use it for scouting as we go into the field before light.
Boy, that's some of the best use of where it's legal. You know, you got to check your state regulations, check with those game wardens, make sure it's okay. But I'm telling you, entering, exiting the field, not bumping game when you go in, when you come out, is paramount to your success.
And for shooters, they got these high-tech optics. So range finders talking to the scopes, be able to
the new ABL.
ABL, hook it into your scope, and they talk to each other. And it's what's nice about it is you can operate that as one person.
Yes,
a little bit easier than maybe trying to do a handheld thing. So.
Yeah, for sure. Especially when you got game out to 300 to 600 yards. Yeah. If you're comfortable taking that shot, it translates the data from pickup to distancing to now it adjusts automatically in your scope to your ballistics.
They're pretty neat. So check them out at atncorp.com. We appreciate their support. Today on Gun Talk Nation, we have Mr. Jeff Hoffman from Black Hills Ammo. Welcome in, Jeff.
Hey, guys.
So Jeff started Black Hills Ammo, and if you guys don't know, Black Hills Ammo in the industry, in the world of shooting, it's probably, I think, one of the most respected ammo companies out there. Like, everybody's like, those dudes know what they're doing. Like, wow. And Jeff, so we thought we could just dive into just ammo geekery, ballistic talk here. You guys are loading rifle stuff. You're loading handgun stuff. You're loading cowboy action stuff. And these days, I think everybody's buying all of it, right?
Well, we don't have any sitting around on the shelf very long anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now,
it goes fast.
I will tell you, it's the mil-spec. It's the MK262 that they launched this year.
Yes.
That I swear it blew me. It blew me away. It is some of the most accurate ammo for your 5.56 that you'll ever get.
Sometimes. So I'm kind of a marketing guy, media guy, and usually I say, you know, the naming that people do on their stuff, don't let the engineers name stuff, except that I kind of like this one because, Jeff, the way you guys did this was you said, hey, look, this is what we deliver to the military, and the testing you guys have to do. Explain the testing for this ammo that you have to do and the proof and the sheets you guys send with it.
It's I can't go into a lot of the specifics, but I can tell you generally what military specs require, and what to put it in the bluntest layman's terms, by the time we get done with producing all the data and documenting all the data, we have a book. I don't know if you can see it on the screen. We've got a book that's that thick.
4 inches thick.
Like 3 or 4 inches thick. It's a 3-ring binder. And they finally they said, quit sending the binder, just put it on digital. And matter of fact, you got to summarize this a little bit because that's too much data for us to put in our records, Jeff. But we test for pressure. We test for pressure at extreme temperatures. We do ballistic performance testing. We do function testing. We inspect the brass. There's just an incredible amount of testing that goes into it. That's just to set it up. And then we're testing every day to make sure that it doesn't vary after we set it up. So it's kind of incredible. And the Mark 261 Mod1-C, we looked at that and said, we want to offer something equivalent to what we're providing the military, but ethically, we didn't want to use the military term without clarifying with the -C for commercial that this is the commercial variant. And because the Mark 262, if we were to use use that and say what we're producing is Mark 262, that part of the testing requires us to test through government furnished equipment, basically their guns. And we can't use government guns to test commercial ammo.
Gotcha.
So it would be a bit of a fib if we were to say this is the same thing. Well, it's constructed the same, but it's not exactly the same because we didn't function test it at very cold temps, ambient temp, hot temp, through 3 or 4 different guns with an X quantity of ammunition. We couldn't say that, but it's the exact same ammo except for that.
But you use the 3 inches of data kind of thing to load this same stuff in a way. I guess you have all that research going towards it.
It's the same proven load. We've produced many tens of millions of rounds of that stuff, and so we know it's not like we have to do that test every time to predict what's going to happen. We pretty much know what's going to happen because we've done it so many times, but we have to produce that for each lot to prove that, yes, this lot still does that and there's nothing unusual about it. And one of the test things on the Mark 261 Mod1-C, the commercial, that makes it kind of unique, we're the first people who've ever done that. There's a test sheet in there that says this ammunition averaged under 2 inches at 300 yards.
At
and you
300.
go, oh, that's pretty good. Under 2 inches at 300 yards. But it's not 3-shot groups. It's not 5-shot groups. It's 10-shot groups. It's 10-shot groups. 5 out of one barrel, 5 out of another barrel. So you've got 100 rounds of ammunition that fired in 10-round groups out of 2 different guns, averaged less than 0.67 minute angle.
No one does that.
No, here's where he's kind of burying like the overall lead into all this. Here's what it says, and this is verbatim off the website, and I know he wrote this. It says, no lot will ship unless it shoots 2-inch groups at 300 yards. 0.64 MOA. So, when you get that ammo, and it's 77 grains, I mean, that to me is impressive. When you kind of, I mean, it says in here too, you push the limits, and that is exceeding the limits.
And 10-shot groups are really significant. We had a military requirement. There was a load that was developed with 5-round groups, and they gave it to us to produce, and they said, but we want you to shoot to this standard with 10-shot groups. And I go, that sounds tough. The groups never shrink when you add rounds to them.
Right.
And so I didn't know the answer to this. I've got Brian Litz's books, but I haven't studied them all as much as I needed to. And so I called Brian up and I say, Brian, I need to know the statistical probability of a group size with it going from a 5-round group. How much will it increase to a 10-round group? He says, Jeff, it's in my book. And I go, yeah, Brian,
Wow.
I know it's in your book, but help me out here.
Just tell me where it is.
Tell me where it is. So he says, it's on page X. And he says, your answer is 0.24. It's going to increase by 24%. So if you've got a minute group, you can expect to essentially have minute and a quarter groups.
Wow.
So you can look at this, and the reverse of that is approximately a 0.8. So if that 2-inch group, if you multiply that 2-inch group at 300 yards times 0.8, you're down to like 1.6. If you're shooting 5-shot groups, you're basically shooting half-minute angle 5-shot groups at 300 yards.
Right.
Jeez.
That's why it's so difficult.
At 300 yards.
And I think I even said when we were doing this before, I was like, most gun company or ammo companies wouldn't agree to this. I feel like most ammo companies would go, "Come on, we're not gonna put that out there."
Most ammo companies aren't Black Hills.
This is true. Yeah, that's why I say everybody else going, those guys are serious.
And we got to as close as we could to replicating the 10-shot group in our Guns and Gear segment this year. We tried, and dadgum, it was accurate.
Yeah,
it made me want to kind of chipmunk that ammo and put it aside.
Yeah.
Let me know. We can make more.
Just keep making more.
I'm telling you, and I'm telling you, if you are listening to this and you are wild about the 5.56, I tell you that MK262 Mod1-C is
a mouthful.
is amazing.
So switching gears, Jeff, handgun ammo, the rifle stuff. There's so much variety, but then you guys load a lot of different handgun ammo. I mean, one of the hot things for you guys lately has been the Honey Badger line, which these bullets are way different than what people are used to. If people haven't know about the Honey Badger, explain it.
Honey Badger is a solid copper monolithic bullet with these funny looking flutes that look like it's a marketing gimmick.
Right.
That's what it looks like. The only thing is it's not a marketing gimmick, because when I told people when this first came out, and all of them said, "Oh, that's a gimmick, it won't work." I went on the Facebook Live thing and I said, "Oh, that's what I would have thought looking at this, except we've got a full-time lab here and I can go back there anytime I want and I can prove what it does. And what it does, it'll outperform conventional hollow points in terms of temporary cavity. It'll meet or exceed the best hollow points out there, plus give you better penetration and better barrier penetration. It's kind of revolutionary.
The barrier penetration, and we have been up there and we have tested this, and I think it's, I guess, why we end up calling it the Honey Badger, right? Is because
It don't care.
It don't care. you guys shoot it through all kinds of stuff, and I guess maybe to appreciate it, what do most bullets do when they meet some very tough barriers, when they shoot through angled glass and things of that nature?
It depends. The bullets projectiles have gotten a lot better since I think the Miami FBI shooting in '86. Mm-hmm. At that point, the FBI undertook to set standards that ammunition had to perform to, and it wasn't mandatory standards. It's just that you at least within law enforcement circles, if it didn't meet the FBI standard, then law enforcement agencies weren't interested. Of course, everybody else is watching what's happening.
Right.
So it forced everybody to start making really good bullets. And good bullets do as well as they can within their design constraints. The problem with a hollow point bullet is it can plug up when it's going through some barriers like heavy clothing. The nose can mash shut. If you push it too hard, the bullet can fragment. It can overexpand, and not even if it doesn't fragment, if it overexpands for the weight of the bullet, the velocity of the bullet, it's not going to penetrate deeply enough. Those are things that can happen with conventional bullets. The advantage the Honey Badger has is it's got fairly sharp frontal area. That it's for people that haven't seen it, it's a solid copper bullet with flutes cut into it, and the flutes leave very little frontal surface area, but a lot of flute area. Mm-hmm. And part of the reason this works is it's a hard bullet, and it'll cut through a lot of barriers like heavy clothing without plugging up, and then still perform well. And one of the questions is, how does that work for terminal performance? What happens is those flutes are like big scoops, and as the bullet's passing through tissue at 1,000 to 1,300 feet per second, it's scooping tissue and then focusing it at one point and redirecting it radially, kind of like a water jet. And then I actually, when we were working on designing this bullet, we sent it off to some geeky people that can do the flow analysis of what's happening to stuff as that bullet's going through it. And Justin Evans from Lehigh, who we worked with on the design of this bullet, he said, "Here's what's happening, Jeff." And he had to explain it to me in layman's terms because he can blow past me in 3 sentences and just leave me in the dust. But he dumbed it down. He said, "Look at from the distance from the tip of the bullet to where the flute ends. Remember that distance, in your mind." He says, "Then look at the distance from the tip along the curvature of the flute and then back out. That's a longer distance, right?" And I go, "Yeah." He says, "The material that bullet's passing through is sliding past that bullet at the velocity of the bullet. If and it has to travel a longer distance in the same amount of time as it's going down that flute. That means it's going faster than the bullet is. I'm going, yeah, you're right.
So the material, the tissue or whatever, you're sending that, like you said, it's like a water jet or a pressure washer, or you squeeze down a garden hose to make the water go faster and harder through.
Right.
And it's creating its own damage as it shoots out the sides.
That's right. And the nice thing about it is this bullet, it's solid copper, so we can push them pretty fast, and they're not going to overexpand. They're not going to fragment. It's a solid copper bullet, which also works pretty good for, say, for police duty use. Some guy in a car hiding behind a car or a car door opens up on a cop. The cop has to return fire. He can engage that guy through those barriers effectively. So it's
and you're getting basically a straight line. It doesn't start to deflect really, from what I've seen.
It's much better. It's much better than most conventional bullets. I think it's about as good. That's what I carry in my gun every day. If that tells you anything, that's how much I trust it. It's if it was a gimmick, I'd have somebody else's ammo in my gun. It's not a gimmick. It works good.
There you go. So, Jeff, you mentioned we've got this ballistic lab. I can go in there every day, and we've been up there. One of the things that they have, KG, is they have these binders of photographs of all, when they shoot gel, they take a photograph of it.
Right.
And this is over years and years, right, Jeff? And I remember you saying when you started testing the honey badger and you shoot the gel, you inject the dye in there, you take a photograph, I think you said, I've seen this before.
Right.
What is it? How does it compare? The gel and the wound cavity and all that stuff. What does it compare to?
I'll give you the one. I think the story that I was telling you was when we started doing 44 Magnums, and we loaded 160 grain 44 Magnum and shot it out of a Model 94. And as in this gel, I had like an 8-inch temporary cavity diameter, and it was probably, I don't remember, 15 inches long, and then the penetration was longer than that yet. I'm going, I've seen that before. The penetration was like, I don't know, 26, 28 inches. I said, I've seen that before. And so I started thumbing through the book, and that 44 Magnum 160 Honey Badger out of a Model 94 carbine produced the same damage in gelatin as far as temporary cavity diameter, length, and max penetration depth as a 308 180 AccuBond, which is kind of crazy.
Right.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, it's a handgun cartridge. Even being out of a carbine barrel, that's still, it's really crazy.
But, yeah, a great deer rifle. There was an acquaintance of ours, a friend of ours, who actually used to work here. He took some of them and shot a deer with it a couple of years ago, and he said it was incredibly effective. He said it was a big mess. So he opened up the chest cavity, big mess.
Yeah.
He said it looked like you took a blender in there.
too effective.
I think one of the best stories that you told me, Ryan, was we were talking about the mind of Jeff Hoffman. Mm-hmm. And he started telling me this. He says, take all the wording and all the information off any gelatin block image, and he can tell you what round that was.
Probably.
Pretty close.
Yeah. You could look at a gel and go, I kind of have an idea of what shot that.
I make a game of it when I walk through on my rounds and they're shooting gelatin from across the room. I'll look at it and I'll try to call out what that shot was, what they did, what that gel shot was.
See, he knows. I mean, the guy knows his stuff.
I mean, how many blocks of gel have you guys shot over the years?
Oh, I have no idea. We're shooting Jello almost every week, and probably, I don't know, at least 3 blocks a week. So that'd be, call it 150 a year when we're not under intensive development, times, I don't know, how long we've been doing the Jello here. We've been in this plant for 12 years, and we've been doing it regularly in this plant.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah. So where are we headed with things? I mean, new stuff on the horizon. What seems to be kind of the hot thing lately for the world of ammo and bullets and all that stuff, Jeff?
The monolithic bullets in rifle are doing real well. The monolithic bullets that we're using, the honey badgers are proving themselves very popular. It's expensive ammo because they're CNC machined projectiles. It's expensive to CNC machine projectiles as opposed to just whooping them out on a press.
Sure.
I don't mean to denigrate anybody the way anybody else is doing stuff, but this is a more expensive way of doing it. And still we're constantly back ordered on them. Calibers, there's always innovation in calibers out there. Hornady's got the 6.5 PRC and the 300 PRC. Mm-hmm. Those are doing really well. There's just that's one thing about this industry is it's fun. There's always something being developed, and people say I used to think why do they need all these new calibers, and finally I realized, well, we might not need them, but it sure makes life more interesting.
Absolutely.
If I've got a 30-06, a 12 gauge, and a 22 and a pistol of some sort, technically I don't need anything else, but I might want a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And it keeps the industry exciting, keeps people buying stuff, allowed us to send kids through college.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We all want more gadgets and our good buddy, Jay Guthrie, he'd say, I know 30-06 can kill pretty much everything, but nobody wants to open up their gun safe to show their buddies their one gun.
No, no, not at all.
You want a bunch of stuff. You want variety. That's true. Fill it up.
Yeah, just don't let your wife ever look in there and see how many guns you got.
Yeah, I may have some at the office, some various closets.
You don't. You don't have any at the office.
I have one gun safe, babe.
Yes,
one gun.
That's
one
it.
Gun safe. That's it.
You want a story on how many guns do you have?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
One day, Christy and I are sitting in the living room, and I'm reading a gun magazine or something, minding my own business, and she just out of the blue says, "I'll bet you've got 80 guns." I go, "What?" She says, "I'll bet you've got 80 guns." I said, "I don't have 80 guns. This was years ago. I do now, but this was many years ago." And she goes, "Okay, how many do you think you got?" So I count for a little bit. 56, more or less, good guess. She goes, "Okay, I'll run with that. What do you think they're worth on an average?" I go, "I don't know. I'm dumb, so I calculate." I say, I don't know, 650, give or take. I don't know. And so she goes, "Okay, I'll work with that." So she's quiet for a little bit, and she starts.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Uh-oh. She's counting
them up.
"You owe me $26,000.
Oh, man.
My column and her column, and figures out that she has fewer diamonds than I have guns.
Uh-oh.
So we have to fix that."
Yeah, you got to even out.
I guess that's one way to do it.
I like the guy who says, "One of my biggest fears is dying and my wife selling all my guns for what she thinks I paid for them."
Hey, I was fixing to bring up a story about that because at the shooting match, the gap grind that I shot at, we were talking about that exact same thing.
Yeah.
And the guy says, he tells his wife, "If I die, go to 3 of my friends, different friends, go to these 3 people and ask them what these guns are worth before you start selling them."
Yes.
Because everybody's going to be giving you different lots, different numbers.
Yeah.
So he's like, "You have to talk to at least 3 of my friends."
That's a good plan. Yeah. Maybe keep a document hidden where you think that's the real prices.
Right. Yeah, hidden very well.
The real prices.
And
I
then,
couldn't tell
and
you.
then the question is, where are they at? My daughter said, "Dad, you're going to have to leave us a map."
Right. Yes. Absolutely. Where are all these things? Yeah. Because you forget.
No, you don't want to tell.
You don't want to
tell.
Oh, I do have. I forgot about that gun. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I do have that one.
Isn't that the worst? Is when because you get this gun when you purchase a gun, that's the gun that matters at that moment.
Right. Totally.
And then you buy another one, and it kind of gets shuffled back a couple, and then you buy another one, and then you buy another one. And then all of a sudden, like you said, you're going through your gun safe and you go, "I remember that gun."
Oh, yeah.
It happens all the time.
And also, what's crazy is the older guns, if you say, you know, I'm going to take out this gun I hadn't shot in several years, Jeff, I find that some of these guns are just awesome, and you get like new pleasure out of shooting them, and they're super accurate.
Along that line, when I was I was in high school. It was, I think, 1975. One of the local cops had a 6-inch nickel python. And I loved that gun, and he was willing to sell it. And he wanted $200, and I didn't have $200. So Christy loaned me $200, and I bought that gun, and I carried it for several years. And then I went to college, and I knew I was going into law enforcement. I thought, okay, what do I need to do this? I need a 1911, and I need a bulletproof vest. So I sold that Python for $325 so I could buy a bulletproof vest and a 1911. Bad move. Never sell good.
See, that is your tip of the day, Gun Talk Nation. Is
never sell good guns.
Just never sell guns, but just buy guns.
Christy knew that bothered me, that I'd ever sold that gun. So for my birthday this year, she gives me an old looking Colt box, and I open it up, and it's a 1964 nickel 6-inch Python.
Yes.
That's just mint.
Oh,
yes.
That is awesome. That is a great story.
She's one of the cooler people out there. You know that.
Well, and she's very thoughtful. Like that probably meant more than anything.
That is super cool.
Wow.
Well, and heck, now they've got the new Colt Pythons that are also actually really nice guns. We've shot them. We like them.
Oh, I love them.
Yeah. Jeff, thanks for being on with us, man. We appreciate it.
Oh, you bet. It's always fun.
Always fun. So what did we learn today, class? We learned don't sell guns. Just don't, ever. That's my policy.
And go check out
most of the time now.
And go check out the Mark 262.
Yeah. Do you see what you could do? Get out your gun and shoot 10-shot groups at 300 yards?
Yes.
2-inch group? Is that what we said?
2-inch group.
Good luck. Good luck with that.
Hey, I can promise you this. If you don't do it, it's not the ammo's fault.
That's true. There you go. Awesome. All right, that's it for us. We'll see you next time on Gun Talk Nation.